Welcome back. In the recently released Kantar BrandZ India Top 75 Valuable Brands report, Tata Consultancy Services is the new #1 most valuable Indian brand, claiming the top spot from HDFC Bank, which had held the position since the first ranking was unveiled back in 2014. 6 B2B tech brands and 11 consumer tech brands contribute 35% to the total value of the ranking, reflecting the rise of Tech India. And 6 banking brands deliver 19% of the total value. Also notable for their performance are insurance brands, which have performed well as the pandemic increased consumer focus on protection of life and health. To tell us more, we are joined in by Deepender, Rana, Executive Managing Director, South Asia, Insights Division, Kantar, and Soumya Mohanty, Managing Director, Insights Division, Kantar.
Rana, Soumya, welcome to CNBC-TV18. Rana, let's begin this conversation with you. What are some of the key highlights and insights from this report, and what does it say about where India is heading?
So the value of the top 75 Indian brands has grown faster than pretty much any other market that we measure brand value in. So it's more than a pandemic, sort of post-pandemic bounce. It is actually a sustained growth and a very positive story for brand India. And as a bonus, like driven by tech more than anything else.
As you said, it's driven by tech, and tech brands and banking brands feature in a big way in this report. So if you can share or throw in some light, what is the reason for that? Or is it also reflective of what we went through the pandemic, where, everything or matters of money, people were very interested in, and of course, the adoption of technology was at a much faster pace over the past few years.
It's a combination of both factors. First, banks were always a part of BrandZ from the time we have launched BrandZ. Banks were actually the single biggest.
HDFC was the top one for many years.
The change that has happened is the tech brands, both consumer tech and business-to-business tech, that have entered in a much bigger way than in the past, which has to do a lot with the pandemic, because the entire automation, digitization of everything that we do has led to the consumer tech brands coming in a big way. But the business-to-business brands have also come in because they are going outside India, and there is a huge market they're exploiting there. So the TCS and the Infosys of the world, which actually have a huge share of the top 75 right now, is pretty much because they have taken India abroad.
Rana, what has really changed, pre-pandemic as compared to these post-pandemic times? When it comes to coming up with, these top 75 most valuable Indian brands kind of a report. What is the change that you are seeing? What is the shift?
The biggest shift is, I think it's forever changed the consumer as well. So consumers started consuming digital content a lot more. They started buying online and using e-commerce a lot more. Even getting things like grocery getting penetrated on e-commerce, which hadn't happened earlier, or the quick service brands, right? So whatever you look at, these changed behaviors have actually embedded themselves. Some of them have moderated a bit post-COVID, but many of them will stay. I mean, the funny thing is, even outside of digital, people are snacking a lot at home. So what we find is the consumption of salty snacks, for example, has gone up and has stayed up. And some of those brands are benefiting as well.
And how has brand behavior shifted? You're talking about, the consumer part of it, the consumer behavior part of it. But
So we saw a move towards trusted brands during the pandemic, because big trusted brands, you didn't want to take risks with either product quality or your health during those times. And those brands gained share. What we're seeing now with inflation coming up is, again, the big brands are doing well because they have greater brand power. And when you buy a big brand, you kind of have a lot more surety around what is the value they're going to deliver to you, right? So, and that's where, if you look at our top 75, they are the biggest and the most successful brands.
All right, thank you so much. Thanks for joining us.